One of us. One of us.
Great showing. You guys suck and you cheated.
Oh, we're recording? I didn't know we were recording.
It is the biggest transfer or free agent signing in the history of the United States in any sport. What is up, everybody? Welcome back for another episode of Ride the Pine, presented by the Benchwarmers Podcast Network. I'm Sean Sproat. Joining me tonight is Cameron May, Kenny Hutton. Adam Freeman is out tonight. He is apparently real sick or something. We're not actually really sure. But he won't be joining us tonight. Kenny, interject.
A little bit of the brown bottle flu, I think.
Maybe. Who's to say? So it's just the three of us tonight. Full disclosure, we came up with a rundown of 4 minutes ago. Quick, we did this last week. A quick update before we really kind of dive into anything. If you are listening on Spotify, Apple, whatever your preferred podcast network or platform is, we are now on YouTube. So please watch us on YouTube, the Ride the Pine channel, or at Pod Ride the Pine. So, no further ado, guys, I guess let's just go ahead and jump into our first topic here. We're going to discuss the Major League Soccer halftime review. We're halfway through the season. So right now, your leaders in the Eastern Conference are Cincinnati, sitting at 51 points, who lead the way for the entire league. And over in the West, our team, St. Louis City SC, the expansion team, sits in first place at 41 points. A lot of familiar faces kind of near the top of each division. A lot of familiar faces at the bottom. There's a couple surprises mixed in there too. Where do you guys want to start? Do you want to start with St. Louis, or do you want to start over in the East? What so far this season has kind of stood out to you?
I mean, not to be a total homer, but I feel like the biggest thing to stand out would be City making it to this point, still being on top of the Western Conference, and just making every single MLS analyst look like they don't know what they're doing, for lack of a better term. Most people were predicting us to win 3 or 4 games for the entire year. We've now won 13. So, I mean, I don't understand how. I get it. We're an expansion team. We kind of went a little unconventional, didn't do the big DP signings and all of that. But, I mean, they just look awful.
Well, I wonder if it's a symptom of the fact that I saw a tweet earlier today that said Apple has done more with MLS in 6 months than ESPN did in 27 years. So I wonder if it's almost a symptom of that. Like, you don't have a lot of reporters in place. You don't really have a lot of experts in place because they're all spread so thin basically across NBC, ESPN, CBS. And now you kind of have a centralized region, at least for American soccer, at Apple. I mean, Sean, what an opinion on that?
Not gonna lie, cut out in the beginning, so I have no idea what we're talking about. But it sounds like we're talking about the conversation regarding the Apple deal and how much of a game changer it is.
Yeah, so what I said was I saw a tweet that said Apple's done more in 6 months than ESPN did in 27 years. And I think that was more of a symptom of the fact that soccer was so spread out. You know, it was on FS1, it was on ESPN. Obviously, the Premier League's on NBC. So a lot of your experts are all kind of like cast out through, and now they all kind of have the central player, and you're going to see better, yearly predictions and things like that.
I don't know that's definitely part of it, but that's not the whole story. It is true that ESPN had the rights for 20-something years. Well, actually a little less than that because it did bounce around a little bit. But they never gave it its due. They never threw money behind it. They never threw the resources that they had, being ESPN, behind it. They never took it seriously. When they had the rights to it, they wouldn't even put it on the major networks. There's 3 major ESPN networks that they wouldn't put any of the games on. They relegated it to ESPN Plus, which, yeah, sure, streaming is the way of the future, but you're not going to see an NFL game be put on ESPN Plus. You're not going to see an NBA game in prime time be put on ESPN Plus. It was a disrespect for years from that network. Apple came in, dropped $2.5 billion for a 10-year deal because they realized that soccer is growing exponentially in the United States and is about to surpass hockey and baseball in popularity, and they want a piece of that. They bid. There were rumors that they also bid on the English Premier League as well, but NBC Sports outbid them to keep it. So Apple sees an opportunity, and they see it with MLS, and I'm blown away by their coverage so far and what they've done. There's little tweaks to the formula that I want. Like I think next year I want a full-time kind of like SportsCenter show that runs daily. I think we will eventually get that, but you cannot deny how great it is to sit down on a Saturday night and know that you have games running from 6 o'clock to 10:30 p.m. and you have a wraparound show you can watch every single Saturday. It's everything that me being a huge soccer fan I've wanted my entire life. And the fact that it's the year that our hometown has a team that we finally get to root for, blown away. It's great.
The only counter argument I have to that would be every game starts essentially at the same time, 6:30 or 7:30, unless you're in LA. So if they could, I know every now and then they'll do essentially their version of the Octobox, but if they could do a little more of that, a little more red zone type swing around, for like whenever City has a bye week to be able to catch up on everything. I mean, when City's on, I'm just going to sit down and watch City, but.
Well, apparently they're talking about staggering the times.
Right. I think that they did it. They put them all kind of on the same time right now to begin with, just to start out. Because if you're a fan of, I don't know, Salt Lake, you're typically not watching games that Salt Lake is not involved in. It's not. MLS is not on the level of NFL where you're gonna sit down and watch any game regardless of who's playing on a Sunday. We're just not to that level yet. I think we'll get there. I think Apple knows that. They're taking the feedback. I think maybe in a year or two, maybe even less than that actually, we might see more staggered times, especially with Messi coming, and that there's so many more eyes on the league and on these teams since the Apple deal's in 107 different countries. You could potentially see them stagger more games so they can get more views. But I think it was smart of them to do it how they did in the beginning, just because I think that 360 was the focal point, MLS 360, which is like the wraparound show. They're trying to probably get more viewership for that than they are individual games. At least.
Okay, so to cut you off and go back to kind of the mid-season review, I want to ask a question. Mm-hmm. 23 matches, 69 possible points. Cincinnati has 51 of them. Mm-hmm. How impressive is this? It feels impressive to me.
It's very impressive. They think they're pretty much getting over 2 points per game. It's like 2.22 points per game. That is on pace or damn near close to setting the points record.
Okay.
Which New England set, I want to say, just a couple of years ago, 2021, I believe they set the record. Yeah. So it is very impressive. And they're doing all of this, by the way, and they've barely played their main striker, Brenner, who they just sold. And he basically did not play the last month and a half, and then they just retooled and brought in another striker that in his debut scored a goal. Cincinnati has been awful for years. They won, 2-3 straight wooden spoons, which MLS, that means you finish in last place, and right now they're probably about to set a points record. That should be talked about as one of the best turnarounds from a front office in any sport.
I mean, they didn't just win the wooden spoon. They won it running away, looking like absolute dog shit for like every year. As soon as they joined in, it was just getting dominated week in and week out. They played like how City was expected to play this year for those first couple years.
Do you think perspective? Go ahead, Kenny.
I was just gonna say, do you think they're the reason why the expectations are so low for franchise or for expansion teams that aren't the LAs, the Miamis, the New Yorks?
Them and Minnesota, because I think people forget how awful Minnesota was their expansion year as well. But to put, Cameron, what you said in perspective, Their main rival, the Columbus Crew, for the first 3 years of Cincinnati's existence in MLS, Columbus Crew won more games in Cincinnati's home park than Cincinnati did. Wow. That just tells you how incredible this turnaround is. And they're not the only ones. Like, New England is having an incredible year. They're sitting at 12 wins. Philadelphia is having an okay year. For their standards, is actually down, but they're sitting third in the East. You go over to the West, which is a little worse, just kind of across the board from a points perspective as far as the East is. But LAFC is back up there. Salt Lake might be the sneakiest and best team in the entire league right now. And I'm saying that after we just said all those accolades for Cincinnati, just because of what Salt Lake just did in the offseason. We're going into the Leagues Cup break, so we're going to be off for the next month of playing Leagues Cup games, and we're going to see these teams completely retool and change this offseason and make a run stretch for the last 12, 13 games. Salt Lake could push St. Louis for that top spot.
What is your expectation for City moving forward?
So playoffs are, I really struggle to say it, but I'm going to. I'm very sorry, but playoffs should be guaranteed at 41 points through 23 games. Now the goal is just to have first round home. I don't think you need to stress about finishing number one overall. I think you just need to get your first round played in front of those fans at City Park, and the rest of it will take care of itself. That's hopefully what the front office and what the coaching staff is looking at. Yeah.
I mean, the West is definitely tighter, but Cincinnati's so far out in front. I mean, if you were to say Cincinnati was on the level with New England, they're about the same point spread from first to worst, or from first to that final playoff spot. What do you think is the threshold to make the playoffs as far as points go?
So in the past, before they expanded the playoffs, it used to be the top 7 made it. Now it's the top 9, essentially. 8 and 9 is like a play-in game. It would be right around exactly what St. Louis has, which is about 41 points.
Okay.
Now, because of the expanded, you can probably see teams get in maybe around 37 to 38, which means a pretty terrible team is going to make the playoffs. So if St. Louis finished in first, you could have a really I'm gonna hate myself for saying it again, but you could have a really easy matchup week 1.
Or you could have a trap game.
Or you could have a trap game, which cough, Minnesota would be the trap game if that happens. But there are some teams that are underperforming. Miami is the big one, sitting on 18 points through 22 games after they just signed the greatest player that's ever walked planet Earth. Do you guys think signing Messi, signing Busquets, Alba, potentially Sergio Ramos and Suarez and all these other guys that are supposedly coming, can they make the playoffs if they're right now 12 points out?
No.
So I was kind of looking at it earlier on MLS. I don't remember which beat writer it was who was on it, but they would have to essentially play at the rate that Cincinnati has been playing this year to get to that points mark that we're talking. They would have to be averaging 2 points a game, like from here on out. And I think they could probably do it. I think they could probably sneak into that 9 spot. I mean, they're not really trying to climb over juggernauts to get there, going over Toronto, NYCFC, Charlotte, who is whatever the fuck they are. The Red Bulls can't seem to get out of their own way. And, I mean, DC United and Chicago are in 8 and 9 right now, and I don't think they have the staying power. I mean, Chicago is already doing better this year than they were expected to do, and they're 8 and 7. So,
quick note, because you mentioned the Red Bulls. So Red Bull New York has made the playoffs 13 straight years. Since they've rebranded to the Red Bull New York, they've not missed the playoffs. So
they're always there, but they don't do anything when they get there.
You're right, and a lot of that has to do with the style of play that they have. That their players get burnt out by the time the end of the season starts and the playoff, or the end of the season ends and the playoffs start. Are there any teams on the outside looking in that you think might make the turn? Like Kenny, you said no to Miami. Any other ones in the East or in the West?
Oh, I said no to Miami because I was there Saturday night, and I turned to our buddy and said, Messi will not help this team. And I get that they're talking about him bringing all these pieces, but even then, the hole is buried too deep. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Next year is a completely different ball game, right? But and what I find funny is literally in the stadium turned and was like, these guys kind of stink. And going back and watching the game on replay, and they're talking about how well Miami's moving. I'm like, I didn't think Miami moved well at all. So I don't know if that was just the announcers talking them up. But, I mean, as far as anybody on the outside looking in, I mean, technically Minnesota is. The Galaxy were within striking distance of the Dynamo.
Yep.
They had a very good match over LAFC. So I would be worried about those two as far as the West goes.
I mean, the West is just such a jumbled mess. I mean, 29 right now is in ninth place. Then you have 28, 26, 26, and 22. So everyone's within a couple games of getting into that play-in. Probably be most worried. The Galaxy are really pushing hard, and Sporting, KC, has kind of started to turn it around a little bit. I can't help but kind of think of how fun that would potentially be if they get through the play-in, we win the West, and we get a home game against Sporting in City Park in the playoffs. I mean, that would be kind of top-tier MLS chaos rivalry game that I know it's our first year, but I think it's pretty obvious who our rival is, and it's going to be them. I mean, there's going to be some other ones along with it, but to get that game would be incredible, not just for us, but for MLS as a whole to get a game like that to kind of elevate the Midwest teams up above.
I think Houston drops out. I think Vancouver drops out, even though Vancouver on paper is actually one of the better teams. Just kind of like some of the underlying numbers, I don't think it's sustainable. I think Minnesota and Kansas City sneak in, and I just want to avoid Minnesota in the first round because Reynoso scares the absolute crap out of me. Now that they have Pookie playing up top, I don't want to play them. In the East, no way DC holds on to that spot. Not with Tyler Miller in goal, getting shipped every other week. There's no way. I think Montreal and New York get in over DC and Chicago.
What's New York?
Red Bull New York, excuse me. I think the streak continues for Red Bull. I don't think they're going to win the trophy anytime soon, but I do think the streak continues. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on because the biggest news in sports happened this day. Oh, Cameron, go ahead. Sorry.
Before we completely move on out of here, I meant to talk about this last week. Had some technical issues, missed the episode. Apologies again. You can take it off with Microsoft doing forced updates after I told them not to. Lenovo ThinkVisions, thank you very much for absolutely fucking nothing. You can still sponsor us if you would like to. I went to the event in St. Louis for the João Klaus autograph signing, and I think we need to have a talk about 40-year-old fanboys just absolutely doing whatever they can to get autographs from other grown-ass men. I mean, how little shame do you possibly have? What little joy do you have in your life that you're pushing little kids out of the way, gaming the fucking system just to get an autograph from someone who's 26? He's 26. You're double his fucking age, and you're palming kids' heads out of the way just to have a chance to shake his hand and get some shit signed that you're just going to go hawk on the buy-sell trade. Yeah, we can see you doing it. And you're not very conspicuous whenever you have your trunk opened in the parking lot of Hot Shots in Winsville with 10 pounds of shit in it. First of all, good on Hot Shots for trying to do a little better with, they give you a number when you walk in now. They only give out 190. Unfortunately, they wrote it on computer paper in Sharpie. We should have known something was up. My mom was number 14. They called the first 20 up. The guy was number 16. Hands the lady the paper, and she says, "Where'd you get this? I already had a 16. And he said, "Well, I don't know. They just gave it to me. The only thing I have is this here blue marker, and that paper's not written in blue marker." Next thing you know, I was number 114 to get an autograph. There's a little kid behind me crying. We gave him one of my kids so that he could get an autograph. His dad apologizing profusely to his kid for not getting him there on time. And this fuck just keeps going out to his car, grabbing more stuff, and walking back in. What an absolute buffoon. What a mouth breather. Who the fuck does this?
God, I love it.
That's fantastic. First of all, I think the venue has some fault in that for allowing that douche nozzle to keep coming in and out.
Hot shots is
That's a
not
big part of it.
for their strategy and their service. I would say is not necessarily a hallmark. The people doing the serving, I think, is their hallmark. I don't think there's a lot of pay to thank. To give them some kudos, though, when I went up there at number 114, the guy was behind me again, and the lady was calling for the general manager to come out there because she caught on to it after he already did it 10 times. So she got there eventually. Good on her. I mean, it's not really her job as a waitress at Hot Shots to try and keep a guy from getting an autograph, but
I think autographs are just weird in general anyway. Even though I think I have a football autograph behind me, but
I brought my kids with me. I mean, they're 2 and 3 years old. For them, it was super cool. My oldest kid went to bed holding the mini soccer ball signed by João Klaus. He's carrying it around everywhere. He loves the thing. It's the most important thing he has right now. Granted, he's 3. He won't care about it in a week and a half. But, I mean, this dude is just he's working in tandem with another mouth breather. I don't know what the deal is.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's very strange for grown men to idolize other grown men, especially when they're younger. It's weird. We've talked about this before off air, but it's weird to me whenever grown men wear jerseys of players who are younger than them.
Indeed.
That's very weird to me.
You can have a jersey of a younger player. It must be in a picture frame, and it's got to be signed. Like, I have a Tarasenko Blues jersey. Like, it's signed. It was a gift for my 30th birthday. It is going up in the bar, eventually. There is no chance I would ever wear that.
There's 3 jersey rules that I have. Never wear a name of a player that's younger than you. Never get a customized one with a weird-ass nickname or something. Because
Are you 18?
You don't play for the team. Stop it. And 3, if you go to a game where your team is not playing, do not wear your team. Wear something of one of the teams that's playing in the game, or wear a neutral color. You weirdo.
You don't like the Rob Lowe wearing the NFL logo pad in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Right. You know what? That's fine. I'm totally cool with that, actually.
How do you feel about the RU number 18 jerseys and the IE 69 jerseys? Are you fine with those, or are those on your no-fly list also?
Those are definitely on the no-fly list. Those were like immediately written on the no-fly list as soon as I realized that they existed.
If you buy an
100%.
RU18 jersey, you need to be put on the list immediately.
You need to be on multiple lists.
If there's a question of if someone's 18, probably shouldn't talk to them.
Yeah, for real. All right. Let's definitely move on because, like I kind of teased earlier, the biggest story in sports broke earlier today. We have to talk about it. I'm sure you already know because I'm sure it's been all over the news. The Arena Football League. The Arena Football League is coming back, and 16 different locations, different cities, well, quote unquote cities. We'll get to that in a second. Here were revealed. I'm gonna go ahead and read some of them off, and we're gonna play a little game with this as well. So first up, we have Austin, Boise, Chicago, Orlando, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Tallahassee, and then there's a handful of others that let's just go ahead and play a quick game because the actual press release that came out, they didn't list cities. They just listed essentially the states or the regions that these teams are going to play in. I do have the actual cities, so we're going to go ahead and test Cameron and Kenny's knowledge of where they think these teams are going to play. So first up, guys, where is the California team going to play?
I think they're going for the stay-at-home mom retiree. I think they're going Napa.
Okay, so we're not doing real answers.
Correct.
You can do a real answer. I only know 4 cities in California.
San Diego.
All right, both of you are wrong. They are going to be playing their arena football in Bakersfield.
Never heard of it.
Shocked you guys didn't get that one. Shocked. All right, how about...
Did they pass up Calabasas for that, or...
How
That's what
about
Kardashians are,
Colorado?
right?
Where in Colorado will they be playing?
Boulder.
Can I ask a question?
You can?
Are
Yeah,
they all like dumb cities like this?
No, they are not.
Oh, okay.
Boulder.
Boulder, okay. Kenny?
Oh, that's not a bad one. I guess I'm just gonna say Denver.
It's Denver. Now, why did they just not say Denver? I don't know, but it's Denver.
I wonder if it's
next-
gonna have something to do with the team name.
It could. Ooh, it could be. Yeah, that actually makes sense. How about Minnesota? Kenny, you get first crack at this one.
Oh, St. Paul.
Well, that was going to be my guess, so St. Paul.
Okay, yeah, St. Paul. St. Paul. All right, neither of you are going to get this one at all, but I just want to hear it. Louisiana.
Oh, then
Actually-
it's gotta go.
If you get this one, we're just gonna call it because
So-
you win.
So there's 3 cities that are possible. Okay.
Okay.
New Orleans, which I don't think is gonna be on the list.
Okay.
Baton Rouge, home of the LSU Tigers, or
Tigers.
Shreveport. And I am going Shreveport.
Give me Baton Rouge.
Okay, both of you are wrong. They're going to play in Lake Charles.
What?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's like a subdivision of one of the 3 cities that Kenny said.
That sounds like a Dallas
It's-
suburb.
I think it's just kind of east of New Orleans. Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. How about Ohio? Where would the arena football team be playing in Ohio? You got a few answers it could potentially be. By the way,
Toledo.
really quickly, just for anybody listening out there, Ohio's not in the Midwest, and you need to stop saying it. It's in the East. You got to stop.
Correct.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
Wisconsin is not in the Midwest either. There's
That is
nothing
also
mid about
correct.
what
You are
Wisconsin.
You are north. All right. So you said Toledo. Okay.
I'm
Cameron?
going Toledo.
First of all, I'd like to slander Ohio. No one should live there. If you live there, I take it as a cry for help. You should find some way to get out. The slander is accepted. You can send all of these to my DMs at swimfly1321 on Twitter. Columbus, I guess.
Okay. Shout out to all the very, very sad and trapped people in Ohio, but no, that is not correct. They will be playing in Cincinnati. How about next up, Oregon? Where will the fine people get to watch their arena football team play in Oregon?
The Tent City. They're not building an actual arena. You ever been to Fireman Sports Complex where they put up that big dome? They're just doing that over whatever tent is there.
Oh man. I was gonna say Portland as well.
Okay, well, no, they're going to be playing in Salem, Oregon. How about
I thought they were on their side of the
Tennessee?
country.
How about where will Tennessee be playing? After Tennessee, we only got 2 more.
Memphis.
Nashville.
Nashville it is. Good job, Cameron. Washington. Where were the team in? And this is Washington State.
State,
Where
alright.
would they be playing? Yes.
Spokane.
Seattle.
No, incorrect. They would be playing in Everett. Everett,
The
Washington.
fuck is Everett, Washington
I
at?
don't-
You could have given me 100.
Washington. I don't know. And here's my favorite one and the last one. West Texas.
I think I got this one.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Let's go to Cameron then first because Kenny's so confident. Cameron, we're going to give you a chance to go
I
first.
have 2 guesses. One
You
is
can only give me one. You got to give me one. One.
well, I don't know which joke to go with first. I guess I'm just gonna go with Dripping Springs.
Okay.
So
You gotta get your drip up.
there's only 2 guesses, and it is El Paso, the butthole of America, or my guess, Waco.
Okay.
Ooh.
Waco isn't really West Texas. That would be more south, but kind of like Central Texas. But no, you're both wrong. West Texas will be playing in Odessa.
No fucking way.
Isn't that on live
Yes.
TV, like one of the most like dangerous counties in Texas?
Hey, I didn't pick them. All right, I'm just saying. West Texas it will be playing in Odessa, and I think we need to make a Ride the Pine road trip and go to a game.
No.
Had a feeling that was going to happen. So arena football comes back. They're going to be playing in, I guess, 2024 in those 16 cities or regions or whatever you want to call it. St. Louis is getting a team. So does that count as our 5th sports team? Are we going to take it that seriously?
Sure, if it makes it this long.
I mean,
Yeah, for real.
are we not claiming the ambush?
Oh, yeah, okay, our 6th team.
No, we're not.
They had a couple down years, but they're coming around. Sean was made the team one time. That tells you what you need to know about him.
Yeah, for real. I also just realized that I didn't keep score during that game at all, so we're just going to call it a tie.
That's fine.
Cameron, you want to learn us some golf, my man?
Yeah, we are officially at one of the saddest times of the year. It is the end of the major championship season in golf. The Open Championship, formerly known as the British Open, is taking place this weekend. It's great to see some links golf going on. They're playing in Liverpool this year. Little fact about this tournament that they're playing and where they're playing it: the last 2 winners out of majors that were there, Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods. So they produce some big dick names as far as who wins the tournaments there. A lot of controversy surrounding the course right now over internal OB. Have you guys looked at anything about this?
Nope.
No, but I would also just like to go back to our last segment for just 1 second. And say, I just looked at a map of Texas, and I thought where Waco is actually at is where Odessa and Midland were at. So I got those two mixed up. So
You driving from Dallas, where I live, you drive through Waco to get to like Austin and San Antonio. So
yeah,
you're south.
I thought it was way west. I thought it was where Odessa is. So I'm an idiot.
Did you look up White Settlement, Texas, while you're at it?
All right, go back to the Open.
Yeah, but we're moving on. Good with golf. Talk golf.
Didn't you hear something about that?
You said something about
Yeah,
OP
internal
or
OB.
something.
So going up the 13th and the 18th holes, there is just a white line painted just off the fairway, and if you're on the right of that white line, you're out of bounds. Even though you're on the golf course's property, you're not in some crazy shit. It's just an open area that is internal OB that they marked. They marked it that way due to it used to be horse racing originally is what took place where the golf course is, and then golf became bigger and overtook it. So it's kind of a safety thing. There's a little bit of the wall still there from around the track. But people apparently are up in arms over golf courses setting their OB how they see fit. I don't see a big issue with this. If they say, don't hit it there, guess what? You can't fucking hit it there. Get over it. But people are losing their mind because technically it's on the golf course's property. Why can't you play it?
Because it's the golf course's property. They can decide what's in regulation and what isn't, right? Isn't that the whole point?
Correct.
I believe, but also part of the rule is that there is technically no out of bounds in the golf rule book. I thought somebody was explaining that to me. So they get all bent out of shape when these tournaments or muni courses declare, hey, this is out of bounds. Well, I mean, technically there's no such thing, but
Well, there's definitely white stakes OB. Like at property lines, they'll have white stakes marking OB.
property lines, yes, you're right on that. What I was saying is like you couldn't declare a ball out OB if I hit it, let's say what I did yesterday and hit from 13 into 10. I'm not.
You can do that. Yeah, that's easy. Yeah. St. Peter's?
Yeah, of course. Of course, it's actually a better shot to go from 10.
You honestly have a better angle going.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's go with that angle. Let's go with that angle. You planned to do that because it's a better shot.
Did you hit a fairway?
Better approach.
I hit a fairway. It just happened to be 10.
Mark it in the
I was
book.
teeing off on 13.
As long as you didn't go in the pond way to the right of 10, somehow teeing off on 13. I've seen Chuck do that a couple times.
So, give me a winner. Who's taking the Open? What's the betting lines look like, by the way? Who's the favorite? Is it Rory going into this?
Favorite is Rory after coming off his big win at the Scottish Open last week at plus 550, followed by Kenny's favorite golfer, Scotty Scheffler. John Rahm, Ricky Fowler, all the way up to the 4th favorite.
Wow. Okay.
He finished runner-up last time they played here when Rory won. So I guess he has that going for him. And then we got Fleetwood, Hovland, Smith, Koepka, Schauffele, Haddon, Morikawa, Lowry, DJ, Spieth, Cantley, Fitzpatrick. I'm not going to run down the whole leaderboard. Shout to Tron. I'm taking Brooks. Got to do it to him.
I'll take. I would take Brooks too. I think Rory tends to play very bad after a win. So I don't think he's probably even going to be anywhere near contention. I will probably ultimately be very wrong. Here's how I predict it. Thursday and Friday, Tommy Fleetwood shoots the 2 rounds of his life and promptly loses his shit on Saturday and is nowhere to be found on Sunday.
That's never happened before.
John Rahm does the same. And Scotty Scheffler with a top 3 finish. Yeah. I think Brooks takes it, though.
I mean, there's just a lot of storylines going on. So if Brooks wins this one, that means him and Rory at the Masters next year. Fingers crossed I actually get tickets in the draft this year. We'll both be going for the career Grand Slam. So that would be pretty fucking cool.
Now, the only thing Brooks has going against him is he's playing with Cantlay on Thursday, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And Matsuyama, who is also a slow player.
So one of 2 things is going to one of 3 things is going to happen. Brooks is going to play out of his mind. Number 1. Number 2, Brooks is going to play so poorly and then bitch about it in the press conference that he's not relevant the rest of the tournament. Or 3, which I would love to see, he finally just beats up Patrick Cantlay on the fairway of 7 because he can't take it anymore. So, fingers crossed.
If that happens, how many holes do they get through before he just loses in his damn mind? Are we gonna set the over/under at 7.5?
I'm going to over. I think we'll make it to the turn.
No, knowing Brooks, I'm taking the under.
Say, I feel like if he gets to the turn, he'll be able to calm himself down. So I'm going to go with the under.
He's got a pregnant wife. There's no calming himself down at that point. It's just going to spiral. He's already.
You're gonna hear the rumblings. You're gonna see Brooks at a tee box on like 3, and he's just gonna be muttering to himself, and you're like, the under.
It's happening.
Also, Spieth has a way with links golf. Kind of brings out his genius. So I would maybe sprinkle a little bit on him. If I was a betting man. Of course, we can't bet here in the state of Missouri on sports because our leaders are incompetent and morons.
And we also can't offer betting advice, so don't do that.
I can offer whatever I want. They're just stupid.
All right, whatever. Give me Fowler just for the chaos.
Ricky. Big Dick Rick. Wow.
All right, Cameron, you got anything else on golf?
I mean, that's really about it. The LIV fanboys are clearly mad that they know LIV players are in the featured groups for Thursday or Friday. So, of course, they're all butthurt and it's a conspiracy theory because that's what they're really good at. I would wonder what they were doing in January a couple of years ago.
All right. I believe, Kenny, you have something you want to speak on.
Yes, so we did our no trade clause movement game last week. I went back and re-listened to it, rewatched the podcast, which is also available on Spotify as well.
That's right. Yeah.
I would like to acknowledge a mistake. My 5th team, I did select the Los Angeles Kings, when in fact I should have picked the worst city, second worst city in America. El Paso's number 1.
Because why?
It is the butthole of America.
Thank you.
I should have acknowledged
We're gonna
it.
get T-shirts made up, by the way. Let's say that.
Love it. The fact that I should have added, drum roll, insert drum roll, Columbus, Ohio, and the Blue Jackets, because Columbus sucks. The state of Ohio sucks.
Let's go.
This is my heel turn. I saw Cameron be the bad guy, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to pile on here. The only thing good to do in Columbus is leave. Skyline chili sucks.
That's Cincinnati.
I know. I said Ohio sucks too. Terrible state, terrible people. Columbus is awful. So yes, there's no way I would play for the Blue Jackets. Screw that place.
I'm so happy to hear you say this. I wasn't here last week. They were number 2 on my list strictly because.
So, just disclaimer, I've heard Columbus is lovely, but because it's located in Ohio, I'm probably going to put them on my list as well.
This show hates Ohio, says Wisconsin's not in the Midwest, and all agrees that El Paso is the butthole of America.
Yeah, Ohio sucks. El Paso sucks, and before we started the recording, 2/3 of the podcast just learned where New Zealand is. So there's a lot of growth that needs to happen in this group.
Speaking of New Zealand, are the U.S. women gonna three-peat? Does anyone care?
Yes, thank you for attending my TED Talk.
Yes, they are going to three-peat. I think they're going to do it. I think there's only maybe 2, maybe 3 teams that could realistically knock them off. So, yes, they are going to three-peat.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Write it down. Tell your friends. All right, Cameron, where can everybody find us on our socials?
Yeah, you can follow our network that we record for, the Benchwarmer Podcast Network, at BenchwarmerNet on Twitter. You can follow this show at PodRideThePine on Twitter and at pod_RideThePine on Instagram. Kenny Hutton at Ken Hutt did a great takeover during City's game on Saturday. Live tweeted the event from being in there. He was the person everyone hates who's on his phone during every live event. But it was great content for us, and it seems like you really enjoyed it. So we might look at that a little more as some options moving forward. We are on YouTube. I'm sure half of you are watching us right now, but tell a friend about it. We love it. Recording videos been great. Our setups keep getting better, except for Kenny, who's in front of some blinds.
Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Please and thank you.
You can also follow our sister podcast at Put Me In Coach Pod on Twitter. They have been on a bit of a hiatus. I believe they're on their way of coming out of their hiatus. You could also be sure to go check out Healthy Scratch, the one-off NHL episode that we did. That will become a more regular thing as there's more NHL news coming out. I know Adam and Kenny do a great job on that, and I'm sure we'll kind of pop in and out as guests to everyone else. Maybe even an appearance by Chucky Bobo at some point. You never know.
Maybe.
What are our socials?
Awesome. Let's get out of here, guys. Short and sweet, to the point. I'm really proud of us since we figured out what we were going to talk about literally 3 minutes before we hit record. So don't go to Ohio. Stay out of El Paso. And have a good night. Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
Bye.
Yep. Ohio sucks.